You're crying because you didn't get your way, and you're coping. You're coping. Instead of being an adult and saying, we failed, we opened a business knowing the market was bad, we opened a business that was going to be fringe and very small segment, no, you got to blame everybody else, just like most women do. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, gang. Welcome to the program. Appreciate you guys being here with me today. I've spent the last several days not feeling well. Not sure if I ate something kind of funky or if I got a norovirus or whatever it was, but my stomach has been absolutely wrecked. So I've spent a lot of time sitting around the house doing nothing except maybe surfing the web and looking for things to talk about, as always. And I came across this story. I got a couple of news stories we're going to do today as well. I came across this story, and you have to laugh. And it's not even the fact that the first feminist-only sports bar closed in just 4 months. It's not that the feminists fail. I mean, that is funny. Let's face it. The best part is the coping. Again, no accountability. Never take any accountability for any failure, any moment to learn. No. It's a good thing that the feminist bar failed. Oh, these feminists. Oh, you just... the feminists... if you remember, about 4 years ago, was it? Maybe it was longer than that. When was it? 2019. So it was 5 years ago now. I did this story when it came out 5 years ago. I remember this. Now, this is just a flashback. We got a news story to talk about. But this is the old story. Cafe that charged a man tax and gave women priority seating went out of business. Well, shocking. And of course, we got all the LGHD TV rainbow flags and a lesbian-owned vegan coffee shop in Australia. Spoiler alert, this first women's female bar was also in Australia and it failed. Boy, the feminism down there just isn't learning very quickly, are they? So anyway, this coffee shop lasted a couple of years. It was called The Handsome Her. It was a space for women by women. Because of sexism, the cafe basically closed down. A vegan lesbian coffee shop. Well, I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you, that didn't go well. So now Australia's first women's sports bar, the Ladies League on Sydney's Oxford Street, closes after 4 months, cites cost of living crisis. Oh, is that what it is? Well, you've only been open 4 months. We've had a cost of living crisis for the last, 3 years since the coup. And all of a sudden, again, let's not look internally why we failed. Let's blame it on all the things other than ourselves. Boy, you can tell this place was run by women. But the better story is going to be like the Ladies League is closing, but it wasn't a failure. Spoiler alert, it totally was a failure. Oh, Lord. Anyway, Sydney Bar, hailed for being the first of its kind in Australia, has shut its doors for good, blaming the difficult economic climate for its closure. Women's sports bar. Now, here's the funny thing, right? This women's bar was a women's bar started by women, kind of tailored around women, for women to watch women's sports. I got a button for that. Oh, no. Nobody likes women's sports. A women's sports bar has become the latest business to fall victim to the cost of living crisis. Okay. Shutting up shop after just 4 months in operation. The Ladies League, located on nightlife hotspot Oxford Street in Sydney's Darlinghurst, we'll talk more about the location. That actually is important. Aimed to shine a spotlight on women's sports by playing matches from open till close. In a statement posted on Instagram on New Year's Day, the first of its kind bar announced with a heavy heart it would not reopen its doors this year. While we knew going in the cost of living pressures have impacted how patrons spend, this is something we wanted to do for women's sports. Okay, hold on. Right there, pause. Okay, you knew the cost of living pressures were impacting people going to bars. You said that verbatim. It is a quote. But you said we still wanted to do it for women's sport. Okay, well, you paid the price because people don't like women's sport. And just because you want to promote something, great. Look at your money that you spent and that you wasted. I guess one of the women mortgaged her land because, spoiler alert, the bank wouldn't give them a loan. So I guess she got a lien on her property to do this, and she might now lose her property because of it. Oopsie. The market is what it is. And if you want to promote something, that's fine. You want to promote feminism and women's sport, fine. But when you fail at it, understand it was a failed promotion. Take accountability for your actions. But wait, they don't. She said, we knew we had a fantastic product on offer, but unfortunately, as a small business, we couldn't hold on any longer to try new approaches. Again, I could say spoiler alert 30 times in this video. Spoiler alert. If it was a fantastic product, you would have sold it and you'd be successful. See, women like to do this thing where they spin things. Oh, I didn't really cheat on you. It's just you weren't there for me. You were always working, so I fell into another man's arms. But it wasn't cheating. It's your fault. Well, you were home all the time, spending time with me, but you weren't making any money. So I left you for a man with money. See, it's always the other person's fault. Well, we had a fantastic product, but it's everybody else's fault. We had full belief we would not be in this position at this early stage. Well, that's called delusion. Welcome to the real world. We have nothing but gratitude for everyone that supported us and apologize for the result. Not enough people supported you, so there you go. They say the Ladies League said it hoped its closure would not discourage anyone from opening a venue following a similar concept in the future, adding the support it felt from the community was amazing. Okay, so you felt amazing community support, you just felt no community money. This is feminism 101. This is leftism, wokeism 101. Yay, we want empowered females in the movies. Oh, we're not going to go watch them. We're not going to give you money for it, but we'll cheer you on. Oh, yay, this company came out for this diverse thing that only we find important. Oh, no, there's a boycott and a backlash and the business is losing money. But you still better support our cause. Who cares if you go bankrupt? Just borrow more money, but support our cause. This is literally all feminism does. They support things by screaming about it on the internet. They support things by marching and protesting. They just don't pull out any money for it. Why is that? Because feminists don't really have that much money. Well, next we're gonna talk about the Ladies League is closing, but it wasn't a failure. The business closing in just 4 months was an absolute success. Not for the people opening it, not for the people patronizing it, but for the women's message. It sends a message. Oh, yes, what a success. All right, we're going to jump into this portion. Let me first give a shout out to the awesome sponsor of this video, the Wellness Company. Are the globalists gearing up for a pandemic scare after failing at the ballot in November? Just weeks before President Trump's inauguration, California Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a bird flu state of emergency, granting himself sweeping powers reminiscent of COVID-19 policies. This comes after a severe case of H5N1 bird flu was reported in Louisiana. Critics like Nicholas Hulsher warn that pandemic fears may be weaponized to challenge Trump's agenda, including the nomination of RFK Jr. to lead HHS. Is this a healthcare crisis or a power play? Last summer, Dr. Peter McCullough warned about a bird flu, linking the virus's rapid spread to gain-of-function research, now a common practice at many labs globally. Dr. McCullough urges early prevention, just in case, recommending a contagion kit from the Wellness Company, his medical board-approved solution with 5 critical life-saving medications like ivermectin, Tamiflu, a nebulizer, and hydroxychloroquine. Every household can now have access to these hard-to-get medications in the event of another pandemic. Get yours by filling out a digital intake form, and your kit arrives in 1 to 2 weeks. Don't wait until the deep state puts their plans into action. Stay ready for the unexpected. Head to twc.health/oddmanout and use code oddmanout to save $30 plus free shipping, U.S. residents only. Again, links are down below. You know you've hit the right webpage when you see this beautiful gentleman who is in much better health and was thinner and more athletic than yours truly. You'll know you're on the right page when you see that beautiful face. Okay, so the Ladies League is closing, but it wasn't a failure, says Lydia Jupp. Okay, this is the best part of the video. This is the cope. The cope and seethe. The cope and seethe, I tell you. This week, Australia's first and only women's sports bar closed. The Ladies League was open for 5 months. They say 5. The other story said 4 before the Christmas break and have canceled their plans to reopen. Here we go. The news organizations that have never before cared about women's sports or female-owned businesses are suddenly dedicated to ensuring the entire nation knows about the closure of the Ladies League. First of all, it's always the first. This is the first woman's movie directed by a woman. This is the first movie directed by a black woman, a lesbian, LGHD TV of power. This is the first music album produced ever by a basket weaving woman who's they, thems. It's always about the first women. And they had a story about this when the first women's bar opened. But now that they're mentioning that it's closed, oh, you're angry. How dare you point out women's failures, you evil news people that are also lefty and totally on our side 99% of the time. She said, predictably, the trolls have crawled out of the woodwork. Insults ready to fling, all laden with misogyny and homophobia. So us making fun of a failed business of women, by women, for women, now we're all the things all of a sudden? How predictable. None of their sexist words are worth repeating. But the trolling has been so intense that the Ladies League was forced to switch their social media accounts to private within 24 hours of their announcement. Okay, so let me ask you a question, genuine question. Okay, let's have a conversation. If I came out and said, I am opening a men's bar, it's called the Men's League, and it's for men, by men, about men. We're only playing men's sports. We're highlighting manliness. There's a cigar lounge and a whiskey bar. And yeah, women are kind of welcome, but we're probably not going to make you feel very comfortable. Oh, the and the screeching and the anger would be off the charts. And when it failed, every feminist would be posting about it and screaming and laughing and having a great time at the failure. So when a bunch of, LGHD TV women, feminists, come out and say we're making a ladies bar for focuses on women and women's sports and women and an inclusive women's space, and it fails and the men laugh at you, somehow that's unfair? I don't think so. We know you would be playing it exactly the same, calling us a bunch of loser incel, misogynists because we failed, and you would be parading up and down the streets laughing at men. So yes, we're going to do the same, and you can cry all you want about it, but face it, you'd be doing the exact same thing. So don't pretend like you're somehow above it. She says that, they say, Australia loves an Aussie battler unless they're a woman. Oh yes, Australia, the permanent anti-feminist state. Australia's done more for feminism and women than probably all the other countries combined. Don't even start with your bullshit. But because you didn't get your way, you're going to start crying, the Australians hate feminism. Shut up. I actually decided to make my channel, this channel, Better Bachelor, later to be branded Odd Man Out because I do the news over on Rumble. I started Better Bachelor. Do you know why? Because of Australia. I had finished my 15 or 16 month hitchhiking, backpacking tour around the globe, and I got to Australia, and the first thing I realized, oh my God, everybody here is a feminist. The newspaper articles were about feminism and anti-men. The commercials, the TV shows, everything was anti-man, yay women. That happened to me when I landed in Australia. So don't tell me Australia is the cutting edge of bullshit feminism. So don't even tell me now all of a sudden, we're being persecuted in Australia. Shut up. You're crying because you didn't get your way and you're coping. You're coping. Instead of being an adult and saying, we failed, we opened a business knowing the market was bad, we opened a business that was going to be fringe and very small segment, no. You got to blame everybody else, just like most women do. It's called accountability. Look it up, learn it, memorize it, breathe it in, and make it part of your life. Because that's the only way you're going to get anywhere in life. This crying, whining thing is getting old very quickly, and people are onto it. You had your 5 or 8 years of it. Now grow up. And this is why I have hope. Again, another tangent. This is why I have hope for the gaming industry. The gaming industry says either buy, if you don't like our product, don't buy it. Oh my God, why did we fail and sell no copies? Because we didn't like your product. And you said, if we don't like your product, don't buy it. So we didn't. Why is the movie industry failing? Why is the music industry failing? Why are TV shows failing? Why are the Golden Globes and award shows failing? They're all failing because you say, look, you're going to like our product or you're a bad person. Well, You're not gonna like shame people into liking your product. They're just gonna say, no, I'm good, thank you, and they'll keep their money. So this bar failed and movies failed. All the things are failing because you want to put your messaging in it and then say if we don't consume it, we're I don't know, misogynist or whatever. It's not going to work. So then you can stand on your high and mighty feminist principles. Go for it, please do. And then you can go bankrupt. Or you can come back down into reality where the rest of us live and maybe make some money and be profitable. Those are your choices. You can't force us to consume. And so you can call us all the names. You can call us all the... It doesn't matter. You'll fail. And again, I keep hopping back to this, but this is, again, Facebook is struggling. And they're like, we're going to open up free speech again, and we're going to stop censoring, and we're going to let you talk about politics again, and we're going to let you talk about all these things that we shut off from you. Why? Money. It's all about the money, and they're out of it. Meta's realizing the writing on the wall. And you can say, well, I'm going to hold to my principles. Welcome to bankruptcy. They say Australia loves to pretend it's a nation of the fair go of the Aussie battler. We love the underdog, and we love to watch someone being knocked down only to get back up again. But the one thing we love more than just about anything is to laugh at a woman when they're down. No place is like that. Nowhere on the planet outside of the Middle East is like that. In all the Western worlds, when a woman is knocked down, it's, oh, men are bad. How can we help women? We need to promote women. We need to get women in STEM, and we need to get women in college. We need to get women directors. We need to show strong, empowered female fighters that can throw around a 250-pound muscular dude, and a little 110-pound Asian can flip her over his shoulders. There's no place on the globe like that anymore. This is just bullshit. This is you whining and crying. That's what it is. That's it. There's nowhere in the Western globe that's, oh, society just hammers women when they're down. Shut up. Shut up, feminist. Oh, gosh, this article, the funny thing is I enjoy this because I'm not genuinely mad. I'm actually thrilled, and I find this funny. But what makes me so angry is that just time after time after time, it's, oh, we're being persecuted. Women are not at the top of everything. A woman failed at something. Oh, we're being persecuted. Why is society so anti-woman? Because a woman failed. I love this. It's just, oh, feminist tears. Oh, they're so salty and delicious. She said it's impossible to say that the Ladies' League closed solely because it only showed women's sports. To do so would ignore the death of Oxford Street, a once thriving queer cultural space that has been neglected by the city of Sydney and plagued by years of construction and development. Long-established businesses on the Strip are struggling to make ends meet. Okay, so you say it's impossible that the Ladies' League closed because it only showed women's sports. That couldn't be it. It's impossible that people wouldn't be interested in women's sports. What can we blame it on? And it is on Oxford Street, a once thriving queer cultural space that has been neglected by the city of Sydney. So you're telling me that this street where this bar was and all this culture around the LGHD TV, that area's falling into disrepair, that the businesses are closing, that it's not thriving? I wonder why that is. Could it be that people don't care anymore and people aren't giving it money, including the patrons that are part of the LGHD TV community? That they're even saying, you know what? I'm not feeling this anymore. And now you're crying that the city of Sydney is not artificially inflating it with giveaways, with freebies, with tax dollars? Well, color me shocked. It's almost like you think you deserve something for just existing. That's not how the real world works. And wow, look at all the feminists suddenly discovering that you have to maybe cater and sell your product to more than 3% of the country to survive. This is how brands thrive or survive or fail. And she's like, we're not getting any giveaways. She says, Cafe Frida's much-loved Oxford Street Cafe and Bar announced their closure in December, writing on Instagram that lockout laws and the bug have gutted what used to be the epicenter of Sydney's nightlife. They are the one of thousands of Australian businesses that closed their doors in 2024. Wait, are you blaming this on lockdowns and the bug? as a feminist leftist? Because it was the lefties that were saying close businesses. It was the lefties that were saying stay home. It was the lefties say wear masks. It was the lefties saying, if you don't agree with me, throw them in internment camps. That was the left. You're obviously the left. So now are you blaming it on your own policies? Because I bet, I haven't looked this up. I know some of you in the comments will tell me, I bet Sydney is a full-on lefty government. And they were full-on lefty when they locked everything down. And they were full-on lefty when they implemented all these policies. So are you now complaining about the government that you elected? I'm finding that shocking and hard to believe. Also, can you tell I'm being sarcastic? The Ladies' League may have closed, but it was not by any means a failure. The lady lost her investment property and couldn't get a loan from the bank and invested it in this business, and it closed in 3 months. So if it wasn't a failure, are you going to call that a success? Oh, spin your narrative, feminists. Spin your tales of insanity. It was the culmination of years of effort from dedicated hospitality workers and sports fans who believed they deserved a seat at the table. Okay, so the culmination of years of effort and dedicated hospitality failed in 3 months. Are you saying the effort is what mattered? Well, good for you. That is why you will fail. That is why you will always fail. If anything, the Ladies' League proved that there's an appetite for such dedicated women's sports bars in Sydney's. Scratch that, in Australia. In addition to the many Sydney siders disappointed about the closure, the venue's Instagram comments are filled with countless interstaters who plan to pop by the Ladies' League during a Sydney trip. The Ladies' League made Australian history just by opening its doors, and the electricity it brought to the city won't be forgotten. The women behind the bar demonstrate the same dedication, passion, and sheer tenacity that we see in women's sport, and I'm certain it's not the last we'll see of them. Really? Really?
Really?
Because here she says, it may have closed but was not by any means a failure. Culmination from all of this, and it showed that there's an appetite for women's sports bars in Sydney's. How did it show that there's an appetite for a dedicated women's sports bar in Sydney when it closed after 3 or 4 months? How is that an appetite? This is why you can't leave the world in women's hands. I genuinely mean that. I'm going to get hate. I'm going to get hate for saying that. But women like this, you cannot leave the world in their hands. You need somebody that can say, you know what, this was bad business planning. It was bad financials. It was a bad plan. It was a bad idea that focused on too small of a niche product for too small of a market. It went into an area that is not seeing many people come around anymore because of the lockdowns. It was a bad plan from start to end. You need to be able to take that accountability and to be able to say that to yourself. It's hard. I know it sucks. There's many times I've said, oh man, I did this. That was a bad idea. Oh, I was so stupid for doing this. It's called accountability. It's painful. It sucks. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid. You know, you got to take your lumps and you say, oh man, I was so stupid for doing this, but I'm going to recover. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to make 100 or 1,000 more mistakes in my life. But at least, hopefully, I won't make the same one again, and I'll learn from this, and I'll improve. That's how the people that start with nothing get to be millionaires or billionaires. They fail a hell of a lot of times. It doesn't just work and work and work. But when you fail and your response to that is, well, it's not my fault. It's the city's fault. It's men's fault. Misogynist's fault. It's the bug in the lockdown's fault. It was the bank not giving me the loan fault. You are going to have a life of failure. You're never going to be happy. You'll never find success. You will blame every failure on everybody else, and you will always feel like you're a victim of the system. Forever. In perpetuity. Minorities that claim the system's against them, women that claim the system's, and I'll say this much, white men that claim the system is against them and whoa, and there's nothing I can do about this, you will be destined to fail, even if you're a white dude. But what you can do is look for ways to become successful. Look for the cracks and the gaps in the machine and get in there and do something about it. Whether that's smart, if you say, oh, I wanted to get into corporate America and no one will let me in because they're all in the DEI and the whatever. Okay, great. I get you. Maybe that is a fact. Now, you can spend the next 3 or 4 years crying about it, or you can say, I'm going to make a small product or small business in an area that's conservative or rural, and I'm going to come up with a new tractor part because I'm an engineer, or I'm going to come up with a new software to help farmers track rain cycles, whatever. There's always a gap you can fill, and creative people do that, and whiners, they whine. These women, the LGHDTV, DEI, anybody that feels, I'm being persecuted, you got to find a gap and you got to do something to succeed. These women will never succeed. This writer, this Lydia Jupp, when she gets laid off because the Star Observer, because it's right here, Fund Australia is home of LGHDTV and journalism. So this is like, it's an activist website. When they go flop and they're not able to sell ads on it anymore, and when she's not able to get paid as a journalist anymore, she's going to go out there and she's going to be complaining about how, I'm being persecuted because nobody supports independent journalists. No, you got to put out good product. She'll fall into the same lines. I'm a victim and the world's against me. All these people will all they do is find failure. They revel in it. They scream that it's the world's problem, that they suffer, while the rest of us improve, we move on, we get to life, and we win. So congratulations, feminists. You lost on so many ways and so many levels, not only with your bar failing, but this story, because this tells us all we need to ever know about feminism, your failures, and all you can do is cry about it. So good luck to you.